Welcome to Specific Lab. Today I'm going to show you how I drilled a well by hand and installed a pitcher pump so we can have water in our backyard. Let's begin. We're going to build this well right here at the back of my building. We plan on having a fire pit right over here in the near future. Also, it'll be good to have some independent water out here to help clean this area and we don't have to bring the water out. So I'm going to use this as a hand auger, and you literally have to dig this by hand. You add extensions, and let's see how this goes. Oh boy, there's a bunch of rocks. Now, a good idea to keep in mind is whenever you're digging up soil, it's always good to have some kind of a tarp or some kind of a catch so that the soil that comes out first can be the last that goes back in. Or in other words, the soil that comes out last will be the first to go back in. You just want to do that. It's less likely to contaminate anything from the top of the soil that you're digging to get down into your well. Ow! Splinters, they happen. All right, now that we've gotten down about 4 feet deep, I've actually hit the Georgia clay. And so now I need to extend this out, so let's go get some extensions. To extend this hand auger, I'm using a 3/4 inch coupling along with some 3/4 inch pipe. And the great thing about this Seymour auger is that they've designed it so that the threads will match, and it's just an easy fit. So it's a great way to extend these pipes. All right, extension number 2. That is getting long. All right, this is day 2 of the dig. Day 1, I believe we had a rock at the bottom of the hole, and so today we're gonna try and dig around that if we can and continue this. Let's get to it. All right, here it goes. Might be a little hard to see here, but that is a little bit of water and mud at about 13, 14 feet. We've struck water. Here's push it up from this side. Yeah, that worked. Yeah. Now that the well is dug, it's just over 17 feet deep, and so I'm going to be using 2 pieces of some 4-inch PVC pipe. But first, I got to drill a bunch of holes in here so the water can seep in. Let's get that going. And now that we have a bunch of holes drilled in this will allow all the water to seep through. We're going to put a cap on the bottom. And the reason why we're putting a cap on the bottom, we want to reduce any of that sediment that might come up from the bottom to just keep it nice and sealed. That way all the water coming in from the side, hopefully, will be a little more filtered. Now the pipe I'm going to actually use to pull the water up in is a 1 1/4 inch, and I need 2 10-foot lengths, and I'm going to use a coupling to attach them together. Now on the bottom of the pipe, a lot of times it's a good idea to add this is called a foot valve. It's basically a one-way valve that let water go up but not back down. Now I live in a cold area that can freeze every so often, so I'm not going to use this, and it means I'm going to have to pump a little bit more to get water up, but that's okay. That was a weird sound. To keep some of the dirt and debris from going in all those holes that we drilled, I'm going to be putting some of this pea gravel in around this. You don't need a whole lot, you just need enough to fill those holes. And so I'm guessing maybe 2, possibly 3 bags should be enough to fill that in. Now the area around this is not going to be able to accept nearly as much dirt as we took out. So I'm trying to pack in as much as I can, and I'm using just an old fence post that I can jam it in there, but just being careful not to mess up the pipe. So just keep in mind that all the dirt that was dug out, a lot of it's just going to have to be trashed. Now before we make this permanent and add concrete all around this structure, I'm going to take the pump and the pipe and I'm going to drop it down in there and see how much water I can actually get out. probably should have done this before putting all the stone and dirt back in here, so keep that in mind if you're going to be doing this. Now to connect the PVC to the pipe, I'm going to be using this special adapter. It has 1 1/4 inch on this side for the pipe and 1 1/4 inch threaded on this side for the pump. Now if you're using a pump for the first time, it's good to prime it a little bit because you want the leather that's in there to get nice and soft. All right, now for the moment of truth. Now keep in mind there is some water up here that is clear, and that's just priming it, and so it might take a little bit for it to actually get to the water down there. Ooh, it's getting heavy. I can tell there's water coming. There we go. Woohoo, we struck water. Woo. All right, now it's just mud. Now to get this to release, I'm gonna have to lift this way up in the air because I'm gonna have to get it above the water level at the very bottom of the pipe so it releases it and doesn't have a vacuum. There we go. Can you hear it? Now I made this temporary form to set of some 2x4s. We're gonna put the concrete around here, but first I need to mark out the space and dig it flat. Now that I have the concrete sitting here for a little bit, I'm gonna take this edge here, I'm gonna go around the edge so at least the top corner here won't be as sharp. Now I left the concrete to dry overnight, and now I created this form that I'm gonna put over the top of this so that we can pour more concrete around the tube to give it a nice strong hold. You don't have to worry about it getting knocked over or busted. Now we got it just below the top of the wood here. The top of the pipe will be right about there, and it's gonna shrink a little bit anyway. We have a little bit excess concrete over here. It took just over 3 bags, and that is a lot of weight. Hopefully this form will be strong enough. You can see here that it's starting to bow on both of the sides, but hopefully it'll work. Now that the concrete is set and I've removed the forms, I've trimmed the PVC down to about the right size. I'm going to connect everything using just a large, I believe this was a 2x10 or 2x12 that I have trimmed down. Made a hole in the middle so it fits right over the pipe. I'm also going to have a cap that I'm putting over it that I've cut a hole in. The reason why is this will help keep some of the debris out and keep it from falling down around the pump. Once that goes on there, I'm going to now screw this into the concrete. And yes, the wood might rot over time, but if it does, I can easily remove the pump and replace the wood. Now that we have everything attached, we're almost ready to use it as a pump. But first, we need to make sure about any time we use this, especially for me, since it'll only be a few times every year, you gotta prime it first, let it sit for just a couple minutes so that all the leather and material that's in there will absorb and swell a little bit, and so you don't just wear it away prematurely. All right, it should be long enough. Let's give it a try. There we go. And now, of course, when you start pumping this, you're gonna get a lot of dirt and debris and mud coming out. So it's probably a good idea to use a bucket or something to catch a lot of that. Or if you don't care if it be on your ground, that's fine too. But in my case, I'm trying to catch it in a bucket. And of course, you're gonna have to pump this for a while. You may have to pump this for a few different days until all that filtration works out where it's just clear water. Now the great thing about having a well in the backyard is good for cleaning, for putting out a fire, even giving water to my dog. Now if you enjoyed this project, make sure you share it with your friends and family. Otherwise, you might want to check out some of these videos right over here. Have fun building. And now that I have a well in the backyard, I can use it to put out a fire in our fire pit. Fire in a fire pit? Or fire in a fire pit. All right. Whatever we might need it for, even in watering our dog. Watering our dog.